This is not clickbait. 6 active conflicts, each involving nuclear powers, each sitting at a breaking point. And global instability is spiking faster than any point in the last 80 years. Experts aren't talking about if anymore. They're asking which flashpoint triggers it first. Because right now, the world doesn't need a world war. It just needs one miscalculation at the wrong border, one missile crossing the wrong line, one leader calling the wrong bluff. Let's break down the 6 conflicts that could light this powder keg. Eastern Europe first. Ukraine is in its 4th year of war with Russia. NATO has poured weapons into Kyiv. Patriot missiles, F-16, H-1, MARS systems, billions in military aid. Russia controls about 20% of Ukrainian territory. Crimea, Donetsk, Luhansk, parts of Zaporizhzhia and Kherson. And Putin shows zero intention of backing down. Let me tell you the risk. NATO hasn't directly entered the fight yet. But imagine a Russian missile strays into Polish airspace. Imagine Ukraine requests a Western-enforced no-fly zone. Imagine a sabotage operation targets NATO infrastructure. Article 5 gets triggered. All 32 NATO members are suddenly at war with a nuclear-armed Russia. That's not a regional conflict anymore. That's World War III. Ukraine's defense minister Rustem Umerov said in November that Russia is producing 2,900 attack drones monthly. 2,900. Every single month. Add cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, artillery shells. Russia is literally burning through equipment, but it's still flooding the battlefield with volume. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte warned in December that Russia could attack NATO territory within 5 years. Not might, could. Because while Ukraine holds the line, Moscow is calculating how much longer Western support lasts. How many more winters Kyiv can survive? How many more budget cycles before European unity cracks? The powder keg in Ukraine isn't just about territory. It's about whether NATO can outlast Russian persistence. Let's shift to East Asia now. December 6, 2025. Taiwan detects what it calls military operations by China stretching from the Yellow Sea to the South China Sea. Over 100 Chinese warships and Coast Guard vessels. Not training exercises, not routine patrols. This was coordinated fleet deployment across multiple theaters simultaneously. Beijing refused to confirm or deny. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Lin Jian said only that China consistently follows a defensive policy. Right. A defensive policy involving 100-plus warships surrounding your neighbor. Taiwan's intelligence chief warned that China is in peak season for annual exercises, October through December. The kind of exercises that could flip into invasion operations without warning. Last December, China deployed 90 warships in massive drills, simulating attacks on foreign ships, practicing blockades. This year, over 100 vessels. The trajectory is clear. China's military buildup is accelerating. And let me tell you why Taiwan matters globally. The United States has treaty obligations. If China moves on Taiwan, American forces respond. Japan is 110 kilometers away. South Korea hosts 28,500 US troops. The Philippines has mutual defense agreements. A war over Taiwan pulls in half the Pacific. US carrier groups, Japanese self-defense forces, Australian naval assets. And China has the world's largest standing army. 2 million active personnel, a navy larger than America's by hull count. You're not talking about a quick military operation. You're talking about a superpower conflict that makes Ukraine look like a border skirmish. Now, the Middle East. Gaza has been burning since October 2023. Hamas and Israel attacked each other. But the conflict hasn't stayed contained to Gaza. Lebanon's Hezbollah is launching rockets from the north. The Houthis in Yemen are striking commercial shipping in the Red Sea. Iran is backing proxies across the region. And Tehran is racing toward nuclear capability. Israel has made clear it won't tolerate a nuclear Iran. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has repeatedly said, all options are on the table. That's simply diplomatic code for airstrikes on Iranian nuclear facilities. Iran has warned that any attack will trigger severe retaliation. Their proxies stretch from Lebanon to Yemen to Iraq. They could close the Strait of Hormuz. That's like 21% of global oil supply. But did you know the real danger? Russia backs Iran diplomatically. The US backs Israel militarily. A direct Israel-Iran war pulls in both superpowers on opposite sides. You're not just looking at a Middle East war. You're looking at proxy conflict escalating into direct confrontation. And nobody knows how to de-escalate once missiles start flying. At number 4, North Korea is getting bolder. November 7th, 2025. Pyongyang fired a ballistic missile from Taiwan County. The missile flew 700 kilometers before splashing down in the Sea of Japan. North Korea's defense minister No Kwang-chol issued a statement days later, vowed more offensive action in response to US-South Korea joint drills. This wasn't empty rhetoric. Oh, no. Pyongyang has conducted over 270 missile tests since Kim Jong-un took power in 2012. They've debuted intermediate-range ballistic missiles, submarine-launched ballistic missiles, and 2 ICBM platforms, the Hwasong-17 and Hwasong-18, both capable of reaching the continental United States. North Korea is producing missiles faster than most nations can track them. They're diversifying launch platforms. Submarines, railcars, mobile launchers. The goal is to make detection nearly impossible. Make interception nearly impossible. And here's the nightmare scenario. South Korea elects a hardline president. North Korea conducts another provocative test. Seoul decides enough is enough and launches a counterstrike. North Korea retaliates with artillery barrages on Seoul, a city of 10 million people sitting 35 miles from the border. The US has 28,500 troops in South Korea. They're in the line of fire immediately. Washington responds. Pyongyang escalates. And suddenly you're staring down nuclear threats on the Korean peninsula. Kim Jong-un has made clear he's willing to use nuclear weapons if he believes his regime is threatened. That's not a bluff anyone wants to test. Number 5. South Asia doesn't get the headlines. But it should. India and Pakistan have fought 4 wars since 1947. They've had dozens of border skirmishes, and both possess nuclear weapons. Kashmir remains the flashpoint. Both countries claim it. Neither will compromise. This year, a terrorist attack killed 26 Indian civilians in Kashmir. Pakistan denied involvement in the attack, but India still retaliated with airstrikes. Pakistan shot down Indian fighter jets. For a few days, the world held its breath. Because this isn't about territory. Mind you, these are 2 nuclear-armed rivals with a history of conflict and zero trust. India has roughly 170 nuclear warheads. Pakistan has about 170 as well. If conventional war breaks out, both sides face pressure to escalate before losing. Military analysts call it sort of use them or lose them logic. If you think your nuclear arsenal is about to be destroyed, you launch first. That's the risk in South Asia. Not that leaders want nuclear war, but that the strategic calculus forces them toward it. And if India and Pakistan go nuclear, the fallout, literal and diplomatic, destabilizes the entire region. China borders both. Russia has interests in Central Asia. The US has counterterrorism operations in the region. A nuclear exchange doesn't stay regional. It forces every major power to pick sides. And now the conflict nobody's talking about. Thailand and Cambodia are at war. December 7th, 2025. A 30-minute border skirmish erupted. The next day, Thailand launched F-16 airstrikes and ground operations across multiple border locations. By December 10th, Thailand's Royal Army had seized several Cambodian towns. Over 700,000 people displaced. At least 21 dead. Curfews imposed in Thai border provinces. This is an active combat between 2 Southeast Asian nations. The conflict stems from a colonial-era border drawn by France in 1907. Both countries dispute the demarcation. Skirmishes have flared for decades. But this time, it was more than just dangerous. Thai Defense Ministry spokesman Rear Admiral Surasant Kongssiri stated Thailand's objective is to incapacitate the Cambodian army to prevent future threats. Cambodia's defense ministry reported Thai forces killed 12 Cambodian civilians by December 15th, including an infant. President Trump brokered a ceasefire in July. It lasted 4 months. When fighting restarted in December, Trump claimed both sides agreed to a new ceasefire. Thailand immediately denied it. Thai Prime Minister Anutin Charnvirakul said his military would continue operations. Cambodia shut all border crossings. Malaysia tried mediating. The UN called for restraint. Nobody's listening. And of course, this matters globally. ASEAN, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, is fracturing. Unity is collapsing. If Thailand and Cambodia can't resolve this, what happens when larger disputes emerge? China is watching closely. Beijing has interests in both countries. If ASEAN can't maintain peace among its own members, it can't counter Chinese influence. The US Navy operates in the South China Sea. Thailand is a treaty ally. Cambodia leans toward China. A prolonged Thailand-Cambodia war forces neighboring countries to choose sides. And those choices reshape the entire Indo-Pacific balance. 6 wars, 6 flashpoints. Ukraine involves NATO and Russia. Taiwan involves China and the US. The Middle East involves Israel, Iran, and proxy forces. Korea involves North Korea's nukes. India-Pakistan involves 2 nuclear rivals. Thailand-Cambodia involves regional stability. What connects them? No off-ramps. No clear paths to de-escalation. No room for compromise. Every side believes time is on their side. Every side believes the other will blink first. But wars don't start because leaders plan them. Wars start because leaders miscalculate. A Russian missile hits Warsaw by accident. China misjudges US resolve over Taiwan. Iran closes the Strait of Hormuz. North Korea launches a missile that actually lands on South Korean territory. India and Pakistan exchange fire in Kashmir. Thailand pushes too deep into Cambodia. Any one of these triggers a cascade, because we all know modern conflicts don't stay isolated. Supply chains are global. Alliances are interconnected. Economic dependencies run across borders. A war in one region destabilizes another. Energy prices spike. Trade routes close. Refugee crises explode. And suddenly you're not managing 6 separate conflicts. You're managing a global crisis. That's why 2026 is the most dangerous year since World War II. What do you think? Which of these 6 conflicts do you think poses the greatest risk of triggering a wider war? Drop your answer in the comments. If you want to understand what's happening on the ground in Ukraine right now, you need to watch our breakdown of Russia's winter offensive. Are NATO and the US ready for the fallout? Russia launched 705 projectiles in a single night. Click right here to watch that next.